evening and welcome to City Limits. My name is Norm McCourt, your host of City Limits, the show that provides you with information about the people, places, and events that shape the character of our community. Joining me tonight is Mr. Martin Mathews, one of the founders of Mathews-Dickey's Boys Club, correct?
That's correct.
Yeah. I heard you're retiring.
Yes, you know, in this business, you as always use the phrase that instead of working 7 or 8 days, you only going to go back and work 7 days because things are so demanding. It's hard for the retirement because they're going to need you in one way or the other, need you to ask you a question or something somewhere along the line. It's hard to retire.
You're not going to get, what you're saying is you're not going to, you're like most people, you're really retiring, but you're not retiring.
That's correct. It's retiring because the need is so great after 55 years in this business and 57 and altogether. It's hard to retire because there's so much still need to be done.
Yeah. Mathews-Dickey's, I mean, it's an institution in St. Louis. I mean, I've heard about it all my life in St. Louis here. And what are some of the programs you offer, to kids?
Well, you know what we do here, we look at the need, and I think this is the thing that you're in there. You look at whatever the kid need, we're there for them, and you look at that, and I watched that in my 57 years. The kid, when he's born, he's going to look at the home, the community, and the school. So what we try to do here at Mathews-Dickey, try to be there, whatever's missing, to try to put that in his life so he can succeed. And I tell most of the young people that if you got talent, you got determination, you get your education, you can succeed in America.
Yeah. Well, a lot of people, when they think of Mathews-Dickey's, they think of basically sports. It's sports oriented, but that's really just a small part of what you actually do, isn't it?
Well, sports will get the attention to the young people, and that's what you have to look at, and that's why sports is very important, sports and music. But sports is very, because they said, we win together, we lose together. And it's we have to do this in order to be able to succeed, and that's why sports is so great, and that's why we take sports as a drawing card to get the attention of the young people. And then you work with them, and they can go on to be whatever they want to be, great doctors, lawyers, educators, whatever is needed, because he'll learn on that sports field what is needed. We the people.
Mm-hmm. Well, they when they participate in sports, you also provide help with schoolwork and so on, don't you? I mean, if they need help with their education as far as tutoring and so like that, you also do that?
Yes, whatever's there, because a lot of times, and I talk to Rankin School and a lot of the education schools, especially Rankin. I said, what is the problem when a kid comes to Rankin, why he can't get enrolled? They said, most kids have trouble reading, writing, and arithmetic. And those are the 3 things that kids must have. And we try to put that in the Bible. When a kid comes to Mathews-Dickey, if you have a problem in one of those areas, we give them a tutor to bring that up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, a lot of people do not realize that side of Mathews-Dickey, that you do a lot of other things to, let's say, nurture the development of youngsters.
Well, that's what we do here. A lot of people, because you look at why make America so great, because sports were the key, and a lot of people don't realize sports is the key to people getting together. And I look at here, especially in 1946 when Jackie Robinson broke and integrated the baseball. It was easy to integrate baseball through sports than it was integrated through any other thing, because people said, you know what, we're going to win together or we're going to lose together. So it made it easy for Jackie Robinson in baseball, it was for Martin Luther King to come from the pulpit. And that's the key in life. Sports, if you look at sports, is the easiest thing in the world for people to work together.
Yeah, you got to do the teamwork.
That's exactly right.
It's a good team building experience if you're not used to, if you're a loner or whatever. To participate in most sports, you have to be part of the team.
And the preamble of the Constitution and all the things always say, we the people. never say I to people. And I think that's the key in America. That's what sports is about. We. We're going to win or we're going to lose. So therefore, everybody have to be pretty well on one accord.
It's the same way in life.
That's correct.
A lot of the problems we have nowadays would be solved very easily if it was we the people and not I.
That's correct, and I think this is what we have to do. And I try to do that in Mathews-Dickey, bring people in. We talk about the Constitution, we talk about the Bible, and that's what we do here. And kids get interested because they don't know what that preamble Constitution. I said, I want you to repeat it when you come back. Let me know about it, And then I want you to look at the 10 Commandments. I want you to find out what does that mean. Do unto others, have others do unto you. All that, and honor thy father and thy mother. All this type of thing I talked to them about, and they're very interested in that. Because young people today, they're interested in doing things, but they don't know how. And I go back to the part where most kids are born, mind is free. And the mind is either developed at the home, the community, or the schools. Those three things that a kid is going to get. And whatever he see in those three things, pretty well he's going to be part of that.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's an all-encompassing, but it's your environment makes you, actually. You're correct.
That's
correct.
correct.
Whatever environment you're in, that's how you're going to be, because you emulate whoever you're around. So that makes a big difference.
But I look at this country and I think a lot of times people don't realize my parents were my guiding light. And then the next were the community, next door neighbor. And the next were the school. Those three things have had impact on my life. And every time I look back, I can pretty well tell that I was able to learn from this. I learned this at home. I learned this in the community. I learned this at school. And I think those are the three things that developed me and give me an opportunity to be where I'm at today, because I practiced that. I practiced the Constitution, then I practiced the Bible, and that's where you do that. If you do unto others, have others do unto you, pretty well you're going to do the right thing, because if you try it on you, if it don't fit you, then you don't try it on anybody else.
Yeah, well, I can kind of relate to that, because my parents, of course, actually my mother passed away when I was born, so my grandmother and grandfather raised me. If I didn't do right, the minute I stepped in the door, the community had already told her what I did, and I was in trouble.
That's right. That's true.
So, nowadays we kind of lack some of that. Our life and our environment has got so fast and so let's say comprehensive or complex, in that you do not have the time nor the nurturing of the community that we used to have.
Right. But I think, again, we got to look for that Thomas Jefferson, who can bring all of these people in there, especially the stakeholders, the people who are able to make a decision, and come in the room and say, look, I know all y'all are brilliant minds, but can we agree on one thing that we think can cure this solution of this problem that we have today? Come up with a solution, that problem we have today, can we agree on that? I know all you got brilliant minds and got brilliant thought. Can we agree on one thing and all us work on this? And I think that would be the concept of anything that we have out there in America here. And our neighborhoods is in problems, our school in problem, our community in problem. But I think if we all come together and do what Thomas Jefferson did, we can make it happen.
There you go. Well, it's a good philosophy on life, that's for sure. How did let's talk a little bit about Mathews-Dickey. How did that happen? How did you come up with the idea? How did you guys decide to do this?
Well, and that's God you asked me that, because it never was in my mind to do a Mathews-Dickey Boys Club, and it never was in my mind either to develop something for a group of people. But it always, wherever I went, I always was put a burden on. People always put me in spots I never wanted to be. But I always was, if it put me there, then I always take it on, and then my determination was to get it done. And I said that because to do Mathews-Dickey, it never was in my mind, because to do that, even working in the community as we service over 2 million, never intend to do that. But a man by the name of A.C. Anderson, which I lived with him prior when I first got married. He let me live with him and didn't charge me a lot of money, and I was able to save money to buy my own home. So I was done that, and I think he remembered that, because when he had a stroke, then he had a grandson that he was trying to bring together with a group of kids, because Brown versus Board of Education had come into play. And so therefore African Americans got a chance to go to places they had never went to, and they see what other people were doing. And his grandson wanted to do some of that. So they got all the boys in the neighborhood, they all got together, said, we want to play some baseball like the other people do in the other community. And therefore, Mr. Anderson, knowing that I was a semi-pro ball player in my lifetime and always talked about it, and he said, well, I was the person. Because he called me one day about 3 or 4 o'clock in the afternoon. And I went over to see him. He was in bed there, had a stroke, had his dining room table moved out and his bed in the dining room. 30 boys were in there excited to want to do something with their life. And there he asked me would I take on half of them, which would be 15. And I had promised my wife I was going to stay at home, because I spent a lot of time away from home and traveling on weekends and playing semi-pro ball, and then working in a Fortune 500 companies with a lot of my time. And that was the greatest decision ever made in my life. I was going to say, should I take them, or should I said no? But my heart said take them. My mind said, you know, later you can drop them. And that's what I did, take them based on that. But when I went home, I still thought about it. Then I was on Tuesday, at Friday, one evening, I got home about 4 o'clock in the afternoon. 3 boys on my steps. I said, what are you guys doing on my steps? They said, we need $25 to get in the Corey League so we can play Mr. Anderson send us over. Now, at that time, my check was just about $50 a week over, and I still don't know why I gave them $25. I put it out of my pocket and handed them $25, taking them to Mr. Anderson. They went through that alley running and excited and all that, and we got in that league. But not knowing once they got in that league, then all of a sudden, we go out to play against the other boys who they want to compete with. They didn't know how to play ball. The other boys knew everything. And this is what really caught my attention probably with anything. One afternoon, I went down to see them play ball, because I couldn't get there early because I sent somebody else to have them there. And I got there about 45 minutes late. I met the umpires. They was excited and laughing. Said, you should have been here. Your team played a game. You should have been here. I thought our team had won. But we got beat 25-0. They stopped the game because they were being humiliated. And that was in the Corey record. If your team was being humiliated, you stopped the game. And so therefore, then I had to talk to them about life. Those boys they were participating against, they started when they were 7 or 8. Now the boys I had was 11 and 12. So they were behind. But I said, if you work hard, do the right thing, you can succeed and be as good as the boys you're playing against. Then I paused and I said, if you work extra hard, you can be better. Everybody jumped up, started running around and marching. And you know what happened? In 3 years, they come the best it was in 3 states. Beat the same boys and gave them the pride and the determination to succeed. And out of that group, all of them went on pretty well. 90% of them went on to college and become outstanding in the field they were going in. So that gave me what a desire. I said, if those 30 boys can do that, why not give other kids the same chance? And what we did there, Mr. Dickey called me one night at 1 o'clock at night and said, Matt, I think I have a name for the club. I said, what are you talking about? He said, how about us name it Mathews-Dickey Boys Club? And at 1 o'clock at night, I didn't care what it named, so I said, I don't care. So it hung the phone up on him. But I said this, he and I got together, worked on it. He had a team, one team, I had two. We had two other people come with team, and all of a sudden what happened was, in 5 years, we were able to go from 5 teams to 75 teams.
But that's great. That's phenomenal, growth for sure. How many, when you started out, how many boys did you serve, roughly?
Well,
I know you started with 15, but
when
you actually started the club,
well, when we started
serve?
out, I had 30, and Mr. Dickey had 15, so we had 45. But kids would always come up and want to join the team. We didn't have no spaces for them, and that's why we come up with the great idea and said, look, the people in South St. Louis got boys club, why can't we do it in North St. Louis? But we didn't realize the consequences it would cost us, no money and no way to serve, no baseball diamonds and all that. And this was one of the biggest challenges in my life, to be able to find the necessary resources to service 75 teams and to find the diamonds. So I had to persuade Parks and Recreation. The late Mrs. Buckowicz was my greatest friend. She turned around and gave me the parks at Fairground Park, and that was the greatest thrill there. And Airman UE came up with enough money to sponsor 75 baseball teams.
75 teams, holy cow. Well, it really expanded a lot.
With good people, and this is what this city is made of good people. As Ronald Reagan said when he come here, this was one of the greatest cities in the world. If you want to do something, go to St. Louis. And we could echo that. Ronald Reagan was right. He said Charles Lindbergh wanted to fly around the world. He did come to St. Louis. And I think this is what St. Louis is, a great place.
Sounds good. What, along that same line, what really stands out as the most important thing that has happened at Mathews-Dickey during your time there?
What stand out with me more than this thing, because I looked at what sports did, and you can take sports and then you can take it and you won't be judged by the color of your skin. You be judged by the contents of your character. And I think that stands out with me more than anything. And that enabled me to not judge people by the color of their skin, but the contents of their character. And enabled me to be able to work with all the greatest people in this city, in this country. Even the President of the United States, Ronald Reagan, became one of the best friends of Mathews-Dickey. Anytime a man calls you and say he wants to send you 6 figures because he was impressed with what he found when he came to visit Mathews-Dickey. That impressed me more than anything in my life. Pick the phone up and have a call from Washington, D.C., said, President of the United States want to put you in for 6 figures, what you have going. And that's what we were able to do, put that in, send it airmail special. Got a call back the next day, said, go ahead, the check's on the way. So that was the greatest thing in my life, the phone call that I read.
That's very impressive, and it's a testament to what you all did. You do not get that type of donations if you don't do outstanding things. So you are to be congratulated with that. When we started the show here, we talked about that you're retiring. Who's going to take over?
That's a big question. People always ask me that. But I'm not the greatest person in the world, but I set a standard in life. Whoever really to come in said what they want to do. My motto in my life was always make the best better. Anything was good, I would make it better. My position in a Fortune 500 company was to go in an apartment and make it better, not go in an apartment and try to destroy. My job was going to look and see what was good to make it better, and that's what I'd look here. And I think, what they have to look at, find somebody who want to make the best better. And I feel that we have set an example what that Constitution said when Thomas Jefferson, we the people, in order to do a more perfect union. And that's what we have done at Mathews-Dickey. And I think anybody who comes there can look at what they see here and say, look, I want to build on a great foundation here, you know.
Well, they have a great foundation to build on, that's for sure. You've done, and as I said a few moments ago, you've done an outstanding job down there. And you know, a lot of kids would not be where they are today without what you all have done.
Well, you know, that's what I said here, and I run into people every day. Last night I ran into one of the football players named Johnny Rowland, a great running back in Missouri with the Cardinals. He said, "Oh, Mr. Bell, I want to come see you. I want to talk to you." He didn't play at Mathews-Dickey, but he admired what we were doing there. So I said that, let your light so shine where people can see your good work, and that's what we try to do at Mathews-Dickey. And I hope that, you know, that I can leave a legacy. What I did for others will live forever, you know, and that's the only thing that I feel my legacy should be.
You've got a wonderful legacy. Let's talk about a few other things here before we wrap up here, because we're rapidly running out of time. This has been such a nice, good, informative interview. It's going by fast. What is the health initiatives that you guys are doing?
Well, you know, and health is the thing that people have to look at here, and health is the most important thing. A lot of times kids have trouble because if his health not right, he can't learn. And I think that's the important thing that people have to concentrate on, because your health means the most thing in your life. Is if your health is not good, you can't learn, because you're always thinking about how you're going to cure something. Is your head hurting, your stomach hurting, or whatever it is. And I think that's one is great here. And I'm so happy that our people at Mathews-Dickey is going to look at that, because that's one of the most important things it is in life. If your health's not right, you can't learn, you can't do anything.
That's true. You also have, I guess, an initiative that started, it's better to educate than incarcerate. Is that a program you guys are?
Well, you know, the only thing here that we have actually, that's been our theory for 55 years, was it's best to educate than incarcerate. That's why that I'd taken over that deal, because gangs were prevalent in the community, was raging, and kids couldn't go from one community to the other, so, and getting in trouble. But I thought maybe if you get them interested in school, get them up, then everybody want to get on the same page, because people want to succeed. And you know, and I tell them that if you have talent, you have determination, you get the education, you can succeed in America, because that's what it's built on. Main thing, you get ready to go get a job, where they, yeah, you're doing all right, I want you to send me your resume. And they're going to look on that resume, find out what college you graduate. And that's important today. The most in the history of this country, the resume is very important. And that's what we try to do with our young people. You go and get educated, you got talent, you don't have to worry about it. Your color's not going to keep you down, because they're looking for somebody who can do that job.
Well, you're talking about education or resume. I ask every guest I have one important question. What high school did you graduate from?
Well, you know, I come to St. Louis, but I went to Poplar Bluff, and that's where I went to Wheatley High School and Poplar Bluff, you know. But I lived around the corner from Sumner High School, and I knew all the people there at Sumner High School. But, you know, me going back to Poplar Bluff, it always gave me a chance to interact with the community, interact with the principals and everything, because I was always there. So I went there to Poplar Bluff. Wheatley High School in Poplar Bluff was the first high school that was right in southeast Missouri for African Americans. So it was historical, and that's what we wanted to do.
Yeah,
but that's very important. People don't realize your high school years is the most important years in your life. What you learn so much in that area.
Yeah, I'm very familiar with Poplar Bluff. My late wife was from Dexter.
Oh,
so
yeah.
I'm very familiar with Poplar Bluff and that area down there. You have an upcoming event, April 24th and 25th?
Well, it's always, you know, we have so much going on there, but I think, again, Bill Franzak is one of my most outstanding now. He succeeded Miss Barbara Washington in there, so he's doing an excellent job because she trained him well, and he was ready to take that over. And Bill Franzak surprised me in my retirement there. He done an extraordinary job with his training from his predecessor here, who Ms. Washington was, and gave him the training. And he came to Mathews-Dickey in his junior year in college, St. Louis University. Worked hard, listened, and now he become one of the great promoters it is in the history of the game. If you want something done, call Bill Franzak.
Very good. As your retirement, one of the things that I don't know if you've done it yet or you're going to do it, you're going to drop the puck at a Blues game?
You know, you asked me that. Yes, I'm going to do that. Go there tonight. Got to do that. You know, it's always interesting to see that. You know, I never played hockey, but I always watched it. You know, to watch how the guys can go down that court with that ball and never miss. You know, with that. And Brent Hall came to Mathews-Dickey, worked along with us, and the Blues been doing that for many years. And it's going to be my honor and privilege to be down here today to drop that puck tonight there, because it's a great organization and a great group who believe in doing something not only for their community but their country, and they believe in the young people and invest in the youth. Then you will have a great tomorrow.
That is true. Well, thank you very much, Mr.
My pleasure. Thank you.
I appreciate the interview, and as I said when we started this, we really hate to see you retire, but they're not going to let you retire. They're going to come back and ask you tons and tons of questions, I'm sure. And I'm sure you'll be doing things way into the future, and that's good for the organization.
Well, like you said here, young people need advice, and I'm looking at a couple things I'm looking at here. Number one, I'm looking at one day I'd like to see all the mayors in North County sit down around the table like Thomas Jefferson had all those great men in the room, said, you know, we have the solution for North County, because one day I lived up here at one time in this area here, and it's one of the greatest areas in the world, North County. Fast growing, growed fast, but I think now, as I said, is your mayor, and I'm gonna challenge you to bring all the people in the room and beat Thomas Jefferson. I know all you guys are great. You got a great ideas and everything. Can we agree on one idea? Can we make the best better? Whatever's good, can we make it better? And I hope you'll be able to do that.
Sounds great, Mr. Mathews. I appreciate it, and I will try that.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for watching our show this evening. If you have any questions, you can contact me at www.cityofblackjack.com or call me at area code 314-355-0400. Good evening.
Marine Corps Sergeant Andy Robinson was paralyzed when his Humvee was blown up in Iraq. Paralyzed Veterans of America helped Andy get all the health care and benefits he's entitled to. To support paralyzed veterans, go to pva.org.
The ants go marching two by two, hurrah, hurrah. The ants go marching two by two, hurrah.
The spider went up the water spout. Down came the rain and washed the spider out. Out came the sun.
And the mama's washing